Howdy guys, what's going on? This is Kyle and Chad from All Dogs Off-Road, and today we have for you the new 2005 Nissan Xterra shop vehicle.
Yep.
This thing is a beater. We picked it up about an hour away from Lincoln for $3,000.
Yep.
It's got 280,000 miles on it, but for the age and for the mileage, it's surprisingly clean. We picked it up to do some suspension R&D work and also some drivetrain R&D work. So we have some parts coming that need to be test fit, and this is it's a base model, right?
I think so. I don't even know what. I'm assuming so. It doesn't
Yeah.
have a badge on it, so
Yes.
I would assume it's a base model.
It's the most basic of the basic. It's got a C200K rear end, the R180, front diff, geared 313 ratio right now. EQ40, it's got a very lovely misfire on cylinder 1 that we're going to work through. We know that there's an IPDM issue on the early Xterras, so we got a revised version on its way to help us kind of eliminate some of the electrical gremlins that we may run into. And we're just gonna do some mods to it and just beat the piss out of it, and hopefully we can blow up the engine at some point and then do a V8 swap on it.
Yeah. One of the reasons we did buy it was, between Chad and I, we don't have a stock suspension travel vehicle in the, like, for us to work on.
Yeah.
So that was another reason why we picked it up. We'll be doing plenty of videos. We'll show you like why you shouldn't run a spacer, compared to stock travel to Titan swap travel. It'll be mainly for social media, but a lot of R&D also. So we're gonna toss. We've never personally ridden in a Xterra with our parabolics on it, so it's getting parabolic. It's gonna just be a test vehicle for what we need around the shop. So.
Yep. And the first suspension that it'll be running will be a Fox extended travel kit that we just came out with. So it'll be Fox 2.0s, about 2.5 to 3 inches lift, matched up with parabolics, and we got our old wheels and tires that we ran on my 3rd gen Frontier for SEMA with the red wheels. Those will be going on it. It's going to be pretty sweet looking, and we're not going to be gentle with this vehicle. We're not going to be perfectionists with it. We have some 3692 gears lined up to match the tires, because the 313s will just drive awful with the automatic transmission that's in there. So we just have some gears and stuff laying around. The rear carrier and ring and pinion from a manual transmission Nissan 370Z is 3692, and it will fit right into the C200K, so we're just going to slap it in there. We might even just use the bearings and races that are already on there. We're just going to do this as much of a budget as possible, have as much fun as we can with it, and take you guys for the ride.
Yeah. A little background on it though. The guy we bought it from, he bought it initially with a plug cat. The cats were gutted, and since then he has put new timing set on it, had a new transmission put in 100,000 miles ago. We're gonna bypass the radiator. We were both assuming the radiator's been replaced, but we'll bypass that with a manual bypass.
So we don't run into some issues.
It's got new injectors, new plugs, new coils, new valve covers. It's got a bunch of stuff done to it. One thing we do have coming is an intake manifold spacer for it.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're just gonna get it running and get it fixed. Hopefully the IPDM fixes a lot of things. It's got randomly, it doesn't have a driver's side headlight, doesn't have a driver's side tail light. There's just random things that are popping up that make us assume that the IPDM is probably the biggest issue. So
yeah, and research that we do indicates that there are just random weird electrical gremlins that happen when the factory, they call it the white IPDM because it comes in 2 different colors. There's the white one on the early models, and then the revised one is black, plastic, and color. And we'll show you here in a little bit. But like we said right off the bat, it's like the underside is clean. There's almost no rust, except for in like weird places. Yeah, like the rear bump stop just happened to be crusty, and I saw that it was kind of puffed out, and I poked it, and the thing just fell right down. But the frame you could eat off of it. It's that clean.
The
you
leaf
know?
packs, the rear leafs are in solid shape, none are broken. So
Yeah, and the CVs that are in there, whoever had this before, the previous owner that we bought it from must have been taking it to a Nissan dealership for service, because it's got brand new CVs in the front, and they're Nissan CVs made in Japan. You know, really nice, really clean. So if we can fix that cylinder 1 misfire, we should have a pretty good runner.
Yep. Yeah. We'll give you a quick walk around as it sits now, and then we can talk about it later as we do update it.
So the IPDM, I think early models would be like your 05, 06, 07. I think maybe into 08, somewhere around 08 and 09, I think they changed the design of the IPDM. And IPDM stands for Intelligent Power Distribution Module, I believe. So it's a little microcontrol box that has a bunch of fuses and relays into it, and it basically I think piggybacks with the PCM and is what controls the majority of all the electrical system on the vehicle. So obviously if that starts going bad, or say like there's a solder joint that broke or something, you start getting weird things happening. So the fix is you just buy the newer updated model and swap it out. We picked up our replacement from Duncan Mills at Nissan Parts Puller, and we're hoping to have it here in the next few days so that we can slap it in there and then start process of elimination, identifying where we have issues. With that thing being as broad of a variable as it is, it doesn't make sense to start troubleshooting yet until we know that we have a good IPDM in the vehicle.
With the cylinder 1 misfire, even though we assume it might be the IPDM, we just did some basic testing. The previous owner gave us all 6 coils back, so we switched out. I pulled the coil, pulled the plug, checked continuity with a multimeter on the coil, checked continuity against all the other coils. Everything matched up. Spark plug, obviously, without having any firing going on, is super dirty. That'll get replaced when we get the IPDM, just to be safe. But checked wiring continuity, and there's something up with the wiring at cylinder 1. And after looking at diagrams and stuff, it appears that cylinder 1, one of the wires that goes to the coil, is unique, that it runs directly from the ECM through the IPDM to the coil. So if that doesn't fix it, it could possibly be ECM. If not, we'll have to just trace wiring at that point. But we're hoping, fingers crossed, that the IPDM fixes it, just to make it easy on all of us.
So this Xterra is basically bone stock, never been touched, never been lifted, never been monkeyed with, and the suspension looks factory, pretty rusty, twin tube, basic shocks, and we're just gonna give you some quick measurements for what would be a stock-ish Xterra. Now when we're doing lifts and when we're working on doing height measurements, that sort of thing, we always take measurements from the center of wheel hub, and that's kind of just the standard because it eliminates the tire as a variable if you were to be measuring from the ground. If a guy's running different size tires, you're going to get a different ground to fender measurement than if you were to just be measuring from the center of hub to fender. And at the front on the stock vehicle, it's 19 1/4. Then on the rear, let's see here, we're probably about 20 1/2. The measurement's a little fudged because we have some rust bubbling right here that we'll maybe address. Maybe we'll just leave it. But when we throw the parabolics on and start doing fun lifty stuff, then we'll update you with some new measurements and let you know how the vehicle is affected.
With this thing having dang near 300,000 miles, there's stuff needs fixed, needs replaced. We'll give you a quick walk around, just kind of talk about what we're going to do, what immediately is coming off, and what we plan on doing other than obviously fixing the misfire. So mud guards will go, the side steps will go. I have a buffer, and we're personally going to just try to buff it. We'll practice on it, just see if we can clean the paint up a little bit, but this thing is probably going to end up being wrapped, is what it sounds like.
Make it pretty.
Yeah, so give us good practice on dealing with paint issues, just for future reference. Nice to have a vehicle with that kind of mileage on it. So has a little bit of rust, obviously, on it for being a Midwest vehicle, and having that little rust It's actually kind of shocking. So, and then like I said, mud guards. Both of these side steps are missing the step pads, which isn't that big of a deal to us. I guess we could track them down if we wanted to. And as you come around to the back, the washer nozzle's gone. Not sure what happened there. And then we need to replace the taillight also. This taillight's cracked and broken. So there's little things that need replaced on it. And then obviously with 300,000 miles, you get them over here to the driver's seat, and it has definitely seen better days. So just a general cleaning inside, get some all-weather floor mats and get that replaced. But otherwise, and possibly steering wheel. Steering wheel also has 300,000 miles worth of wear and tear on it. You know, goo, typical stuff. Otherwise, interior super clean. It even has the Xterra med bag on the door. I know a lot of Xterra guys look for that. There's nothing in it, obviously, because we don't need 15, 20-year-old med stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, we're just ready. Once we get the IPDM in it, fix it, get the misfire fixed, then we'll get to lift kit and stuff like that. So we're pretty excited.